This is Amária Sweet with Heart Mind Expressions. Today we're here with Dr. Alex Bloom, Dr. Alex Spielman, and Soo McClure, and we are having one hell of an awesome day. So let's go ahead and get started. I know we've got a few things that we've been chatting about that we want to talk about. Dr. Bloom, did you want to go ahead and start us in? And let's go ahead and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really comes to my mind, and I guess I can start with the personal reflection, is just over the past few weeks, really over the past, I'd say, month and a half, that I personally have scaled way back in terms of trying to be zoomed in and with all the minutia of what goes on from day to day and keeping a really close buzz and pulse on what's happening politically. And just scaling back and feeling it really kind of for me started on 12/12 for several reasons, but just feeling kind of called or pulled to step away from truther material and current politics and whatnot, and just like trusting the plan, as the phrase goes, but just trusting source, trusting life, trusting that everything's going to unfold as the way it's meant to be, and that there's like I feel like it's a spiritual push, just like when I had coming into this material and really feeling called that like I need to drop my course and my book and everything that I'm working on, just delve and dial in with keeping abreast of everything and being the digital soldier, as they say. And now I feel like that movement is drifting me more towards spirituality, and which feels good to kind of finally feel called to return back to that and to kind of dust off my course material and get that ready to launch and whatnot. And so where I'm going with all of this is that's the invitation, I think, for all of us now, that what we're seeing is nothing more than kabuki theater in terms of what's happening on the political stage. And so for us to not have completely bitten down fingertips, as Simon Parks likes to say, and to just recognize that everything is unfolding exactly as it's meant to be, that the people who need to be in charge, the good guys, are in charge, and that now you are seeing the real pull or shift or split, if you will, between 3D and 5D. And so it's about moving past this illusion that you're seeing with these eyes, especially when you pay attention to the media, and to start going within and really kind of moving into this transition that's taking place all over the planet as we kind of further usher in whatever you want to call it, the Great Awakening, the new era, the new age, the Aquarius, the 5D lifestyle, etc. That there's a huge shift that's taking place, and all of us are welcome to be a part of it. And the only prerequisite is that we start doing our own inner work, because this is one of vibration. And so the more that we can keep our vibration in somewhat of an elevated state, you can't lie about that. You can't fake it. You can't talk a good talk. That vibration is an accurate reflection of our frequency. And how do we know where our vibration is? It's based on our emotion. Emotion, or energy in motion, is our GPS device, or our inner way in which we can get in touch with what sort of energy we're casting out. And whatever we cast out from a metaphysical point of view, the law is very clear that those seeds that we are putting out into the field then will boomerang back to us. And so the more that we can be specific and intentional with doing the inner work, with trying to keep our vibe high, with trying to work through dark, dense emotions, whether it be anger, sadness, fear, jealousy, rage, what have you, that then we elevate ourselves up to more of a natural state where we were meant to be as human beings, to elevate. And so it's like a cork rising up through the water. So the more that we do that, then the more we are able to, and more quickly we're able to tap into this 5D lifestyle. And that's really where the calling is right now for us as humans on this planet. So that's kind of a little bit of an intro spiel that I'm called to share.
No, that's awesome. I agree. As we were talking about earlier, a little bit about the energy that's been going on it's crazy stuff. And like, I've had to step away from social media because literally it's like I was being triggered into not just old habits, but old addictions. I went on a sugar binge 2 days ago, and it's just like I was a total spaz. So yeah, I think we definitely need to step away, drink a lot of water, do some more meditation, self-love. Hey, read a book, dude. Even I'm reading books right now.
Yeah, and don't forget to consult your crystals, you know.
Yes,
Keep
exactly.
them charged. Keep them charged. Keep them nearby.
Oh shoot.
Balance yourself out with that, along with, you know, diet, water, and whatnot, you know.
Exactly.
Crystals help too.
That's
I
so
got taken
easy.
Meditation
down
definitely helps.
I got taken down from Facebook again the other day. And at this point, like, it doesn't even faze me. I don't even really want to go back. You know, I'm just like, I'll spend my time elsewhere. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the same
it
thing.
seems
It
so less
actually, when they
appealing.
restrict us, it's actually giving us time to reflect. So it's really, I mean, as much as they might think, haha, we're messing with you, we're trying to dampen your spirit or something. What it's really doing is just giving us more time to do other things. So really, it's more of a win for us that if you decide to look at it as a win for you rather than a downer, you know, just see it more in a high vibe, you know, situation that you can do something else. I mean, Facebook disappearing, it's not the end of the world,
Right?
you know.
not at this stage. We're much past the critical parts. There were several hinge-worthy moments where we needed to have, as a numbers game, intentional focus and all of us banding together. And we're past that point. Now it's just kind of coasting downhill and watching the rest of the theater play out. And the rest of it isn't even for us. It's for the hardcore sleepers that need that big jump start to push them into an awakened perspective. It's like they're sleeping and they're sleeping past all the alarms, and you need to someone come in and just like pour cold water on them. And that's what's about to happen. So for the rest of us, we don't pay attention to those details.
Thinking about your metaphor.
I was just about to say that, actually.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Spielman.
I constantly go back to a euphemism that a lot of the different Anons used to say on the boards. All those, has it been a few years? Oh my gosh, actually, it's been a few years now. But the euphemism basically went, you can take the red pill willingly, you know, just take it and go with it, or it was going to become a suppository.
Mm-hmm.
And
and as time goes on, that suppository gets bigger.
That's right.
Let's just say that this thing is as good as a Chinese COVID test. I'll explain that one a little bit. You'll understand the joke. I know I'm giving you the punchline before the actual joke. I'll explain a little bit.
Yeah, we are not yet at the 94 to 96% mark of having people awaken. We're at maybe 80%. So we have, and what's hard is that the last few remaining sleepers are very recalcitrant, which means that they are stubborn in their sleepiness because they're so heavily underneath the MSM black magic spell. And so my prediction, and I'm curious to hear all of yours, especially Spielman, is that I think things are really going to pop off around impeachment. That's kind of the buzz that I've been hearing. So I still try to keep a little abreast and keep a pulse of what's going on and not be completely out of the loop. And the latest that I've heard is that, around impeachment time, when that starts to get aired, is then when the D-class might start to happen. And then the media will go black on that. And then that's when what's going to hit the fan. So we'll see. But the Constitution, as I understand it, and we have our resident expert in that can confirm this, but I believe it says in the Constitution, the date for the inauguration. And I believe originally it was March 4th until FDR. So
It was actually, guess what? Since I have it in my hand, let's pull it up. That would be the 20th Amendment.
20th Amendment.
Let me see if we can see it. Can you see that? Wrong page. Right here. It can be Article 1. Article 1 of the 20th Amendment says that the inauguration is going to have the term ends on January 20th at 12 o'clock noon.
Okay. Do you know when that amendment was added?
20th Amendment was ratified on January 23rd, 1933.
33. Yeah.
So that would be during FDR's time.
That's right. So again, before that time, it wasn't established for January. I think that was the original March date. So, what we have now is the military that's in charge of the government right now. And Biden can play around in his little sandbox in the now defunct corporation of the USA.
And already messed it either way.
And write his
10 minutes before noon, so
orders, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the state of emergency, as I understand it, Trump transferred the ability to downgrade the emergency status to the military. So Biden doesn't have that authority. And ultimately, they are the ones that are currently in charge of our republic.
I love how he makes those chess moves. Checkmate. Awesome.
It's interesting because I have been starting to learn a little bit more about the new republic, and there has been a chat over on Telegram which I'm still kind of skeptical at this moment, just because they claim to be John, but there has been no verifiable information to verify the source. So that's one of my big faux pas, is that if you can't verify a source, then it's as good as a person's reputation at that point. If they give good information, then they give good information. But since this is something that's relatively unknown to me, I'm not sure. But sure enough, we're hearing that from what I was reading. People are coming out of hiding. It seems like people are starting to plan their, this re-emergence, this great, reveal, and it's coming around the 4th, from people are saying, around that time. So it seems that there's definitely something occurring at that point. I'm not exactly sure what exactly it is going to be.
Who's coming out? Like good guys or bad guys that have been hiding?
Good guys.
Good guys. I heard a billionaire came out of hiding, but I don't know if he was on a side. Did you hear about this?
What is it about?
I haven't heard anybody actually coming back. Which one?
I don't remember his name, but he was, I believe, American, and he had just come out of hiding, is what it said, for I don't know even how long. It was just a brief headline that I saw. So it makes me wonder, like, remember Trump had given that interview, probably 2 decades or so, like at least after he went bankrupt. And he said, at times like this, it's nice because you get to find out who your true allies are. And those that you would suspect that would be your true blues are actually ones that aren't going to be there for you when you need them. So he's been through this rodeo before, and he knows that he was just a chess piece in the larger plan. And that's the piece that we need to be like Gumby, as Michael Jaco says, and be flexible, because we're in a war right now. And it's a digital war, but it's still a war. It's the Third World War. And so for us, it's having to put on that war mindset, which means things fluctuate and not everything goes according to plan. And if we think that the arrests were supposed to happen on the inauguration day, Simon Parks was saying that there was a supposed dirty bomb that was just suitcase size. And they planned on using that to blow up a very large city on the seaboard, which could have easily split the entire whole section of the coast if it went off. So if that is true, then you're having to play strategist here of like, at what cost are we willing to compromise to have all of this go down? And maybe they wait a little longer and have to shift things. But with people that have access to the largest amount of intelligence in the history of the world, and so with their what's the word I'm looking for, the types of the D-Wave computers and whatnot, and all of their ability to kind of understand game theory, that nothing's going to stop what's coming. So it's just a matter of time. That's all.
There's I was watching an interview, and it was on the SGT report, and they had Zachary Voorhees on there. And the way he was describing it was, we're in a stage of the game, with game theory. We're in the stage of the game where we're in what's called a last mover's advantage. Okay. And what a last mover's advantage works is, imagine a chess game. Okay. Imagine you have a chess game and you're down to very few pieces, maybe like a pawn or two, maybe one of the other large pieces, and you have your king. You only have a finite amount of moves that you can make in order to win or to lose. And usually the person who makes that last move tends to win because they have that extra move. And that's what really is coming down to. We're running into a point where whichever side is the one that moves last is going to have that extra advantage, because they're going to be able to react and repost off of a previous attack.
I think where my confidence comes in is knowing how intricate and extensive with its details this plan has been. I've heard different starting points of when the plan began. I just heard last night, can't remember who it was, but some prominent person was saying that it started back in 1800. Started 100.
Oh yeah, so I heard that one.
I hadn't heard that one, and then I heard another one was right around the time of Lincoln. And of course, we've all heard the JFK time period theory, but this is an arc that started well before Trump and is of course happening after him. So it's for the people that are newer to this, that have somewhat of a limited understanding of it, or haven't been involved with the 17 operations since the start, that don't really get it. And so then they get angry and they feel betrayed because it's not happening on their time frame or in the way that they would expect things to flow out. And so you're having to play like damage control as you're juggling, of like staying flexible and understanding we're in an active Cold War, and at the same time trying to manage the truthers who are being in low vibe because they're not seeing it play out in the way that they would expect in their 3D mind. And then of course you have the sleepers, which are still, it's interesting to see that unfold, because a lot of them now, which is genius really, is they are calming down because you're not getting as much of the MK Ultra programming of them being activated and triggered all the time. And so they feel as though they're out of the woods. Like when I go on walks around my neighborhood, all of them have taken down their vitriolic yard signs about Trump. And so it's like, oh, we've gone past that. And even clients that I talk to, it's like, oh, I'm out of this cocoon that I've been in of just kind of survival mode and living in anger and adrenaline for 4 years, because that's all they consume when they turn on the TV. And now they're at this different time period where they feel as though the good guy has won, that Biden's in control, and they can go back to their regular lifestyle of not having to pay attention to all the details and from the day-to-day happenings because Trump's not tweeting. But it's what I find interesting is that they're still engaged with wanting to follow what's happening politically, because I think part of it is momentum and they've just been in this rhythm, and they're getting very quiet because there are some things that Biden is doing that go against his campaign promises, and they're starting to have to eat crow. So a big one, of course, is like EpiPens, and how the price went up from, don't quote me on the numbers, but it was something ridiculous, like $45 to $1,000 per pen, or the 7,000 jobs that are lost now because of the pipeline. So, all of those
the insulin,
yeah, exactly. So, all of those components are then having them to be involved with their own cognitive dissonance. And it's like, what? Wait a minute. So Trump was doing good things, and now Biden is reversing it, and it's worse, And so the best thing we can do is to just scale back, and they have to figure this out on their own. And that's something that I've had to come to grips with, I suppose, or kind of, that's my growing edge of being able to not be the I told you so, because there's so much emotion involved, and be able to say, I've got to cut an energetic cord and an emotional cord of like loved ones, and be like, if you wake up, great. If you don't, I have to learn to be okay with that. If you get the vaccine and you have extreme adverse reaction to it, I have to emotionally be okay and accept that that's just the role that you take karmically and spiritually. And just kind of walk my path. And that's where I think what I was saying earlier about reconnecting with spirit right now is so crucial, because we are needing to tie and tether ourselves with source, because as we further usher in this 5D energy, our manifestations are coming that much more quickly. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but I know I have,
amazing.
Which is good if you're intentional, that you can usher in all of that in a very more speedily way. But if you're not on your A game and you're putting out that low vibe energy, then you're just going to get hit hard and you're going to be rocked. So that's why the work, this inner work, even now more so than ever before, is so imperative for us.
Well,
and even as Trump said, that he said, hold the line, and a lot of people see that as different types of definition of hold the line.
Right.
We hold all the line as in all the Q drops that we have been fed for the last 3 to 4 years, or hold the line as in, look, we just need to pipe it down. It's going to work out, because one of the last drops that he says is just, nothing can stop what's happening. Just hold the line. We got this. We're, the Patriots are in control. And, there's various definitions. And unfortunately, we're all seeing it differently. And that's also what's scrambling a lot of divide. And so, there's some of us that are trying to hold the line in the way that we tell one patriot to another. Will say, look, it's okay. Trump's got this. The White Hat's got this. We're fine, while the others are getting upset, and we have to keep calming them down. So up to a certain point, we are sticking our fingers in holes where water is coming out, and we're trying to, get people to hold the line, as to put it, and calm down. It'll be fine, okay? We didn't do this so that the world will fall apart.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You have what, 200 sealed indictments that still haven't. I mean, Trump hasn't even played his Trump card yet.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, sure you watched the video of him on the golf course the other day.
I haven't.
He
got so the guy is at one of these golf courses. I would assume it's in Mar-a-Lago, but who knows? He could golf wherever he wants. And you just, the guy walks by and Trump's with his entourage, and he goes, President Trump, thank you for your service. And he goes, thank you. Goes off screen. He's like, we're not done yet. Not finished yet. Which is like foreshadowing.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's really
and one little note I wanted to make on what you were saying, Dr. Bloom, when you were talking about how everyone has their, everyone's out of their cocoons, or all, out of that kind of primal like frenziness that they've been in. They're now starting to understand reason, and
Yeah.
we're actually able to explain things going on, and we're seeing, I think, probably one of the most powerful forces in the universe, which is buyer's remorse.
Yep. You nailed
Buyer's
it.
remorse is going to is
see
this
that on
massive
Twitter.
thing. They're like or political remorse,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and just like every single one of us had to
Broke
go
up.
through that period of stating, we
You just froze, Alex.
let me do that.
Oh, there you go.
Might want to go back on the political remorse.
Yep, is that better?
Yes. Yes.
What were you saying there? We lose him again.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, we can
Yeah.
hear you.
So we left off on political remorse.
Okay. Yeah, that's what that's what everyone's dealing with right now, is a sense of buyer's remorse. And just like every single one of us had to go through that process of grieving and reconciliation and, reorganizing our thought process on things, this is where our job comes into play.
That's right.
Where we got to be with these people and say, it's perfectly fine. We've all been there. And we've all cared about you. It's just, we needed to get to this point at different times.
Well, and those of us that have been doing this for a while, just like Dr. Bloom was talking about, we really need to center ourselves, because there's so many things that are going on that really you just can't keep all that in your mind. That's just too much crap. And just like I had to step away from social media as a very sensitive person, everything really, it seems like it's just hitting the crap out of us. And we've got Schumann resonance is off the chart today. A lot of us are just exhausted. And so, even though it's cold, it's not going to kill you. I'd say put your feet on the bare ground outside, walk out in the ice or the snow if you can, try not to fall on your butt, but do something, even go for a walk, bundle up, because you'll find that you just are going to feel a little bit better being away from that AI of everyone as well, mingling with the AI online. And, if you got a book, pick it up, go, make some hot tea or something that you can just sit and just really relax and let yourself just detach a little bit, I think is something that's just a really good idea. I love how you keep going back to that, Alex. It's just such
and that is at the very heart and center, not to like promote myself, but of like what my course and my book and all my material is about. That there's really kind of two frameworks to think of, and it's all based on your emotion, because we have not been taught the real spiritual purpose of why we have emotions. We've been taught it from like an evolutionary perspective or a mental health perspective, but from a spiritual point of view, our emotions are meant to serve as feedback or guidance to what our vibration is. So when we are in that low vibe state of feeling a negative emotion, then the call for us, the invitation, is for us to do whatever we can just to feel a little bit better. So just like what you were saying, Amária, of like going outside for a walk, or I don't know, reading a book, having some hot tea, laughing, for me, it would be like making memes, whatever that, right? With all of those different things, it's about just feeling a little bit of relief. That's the intention that you're going for. So oftentimes I'll ask myself the question, what can I do to make things at the very least just 1% better? That's graspable. That's something that we can with low-hanging fruit reach out and try to get. Of, oh well, I can change my body posture, or I can make that meal because I haven't had lunch yet, or whatever the case is. That the more that we work with our energy levels and our emotions to kind of move our set up, that then it's short-term, long-term. So short-term is like the current state that we're in. How can we raise our vibration? But the other real piece here is, what's our set point at? You know, if we're constantly negative and critical and harsh and mean and all those sorts of things, very kind of into our own world and whatnot, really anchored into 3D, then we're going to be having a really hard time soon with these energies that are coming in. And so the more that we can raise our vibe, then I think about it like momentum. And so when you have a lot of negative emotion, you can spiral downwards because that speed is really amping up. And so it's like when it rains, it pours, as they say, right? Or when you're starting to feel a little depressed, but you don't really take care of yourself, then you can get sick, or then you get really depressed, you know, or then you start to feel anxious on top of feeling depressed, or vice versa, etc. And so we want to raise our vibe until we get to that more neutral state. And this is where meditation can help trim the fat and quickly have you raise that cork, like I was saying earlier, up to that kind of neutral point. And then once we become buoyant and we're in that kind of place of just comfort, or a sense of neutrality from like, man, I don't really feel good or bad right now, then that really is kind of our to some degree, the baseline state that we're wanting to go for. Because
That's
then,
so much better than what most people stay at. It's more
right?
healthy.
So the last part to this is that when we're dealing with negative emotions, the intention here is about relief. But once we start moving into the more elevated emotions of joy, peace, love, connection, creativity, inspiration, etc., gratitude, that then as we're doing that, we're wanting to savor, we're wanting to relish, we're wanting to say, how can I further step in and actively start feeling these positive emotions more? Because again, what I give out comes back. So the more that I'm able to move into this higher emotional state, then the more, with law of attraction or whatever phrase you want to put on that, I'm going to get more of that coming back to me. And it's going to amplify, but in this case, in a positive way. And then we spiral upwards. And that right there is part of the work.
That's why it's extremely important to actually go back to the root of what makes us, us, what makes you, you. Because once we do it, we feel a lot better. Because if the root is not strong, the plant is not strong.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a strong root in order to have a strong stem, in order to have strong leaves. You know, we need to soak in the good things, just like a plant soaks in the sun, the rain. What does it do to the plant? Give strong root, give strong plant. So that's why it's best to go back to what makes you you. Having a, you know, a soak in a hot bath, you know, making your favorite foods, doing your favorite hobby. Go back to what made you you, even before all of this, before all the political stuff started sucking up your daily schedule. You know, just go back what makes you you, so that you can have a strong root and strong, you know, stems and strong leaves, strong foundation. That's considered important.
So if I could just piggyback for the listeners from what Sue just said, that's a good like homework assignment for people watching this podcast, of take some time out at some point, maybe this weekend, and just oftentimes when I'm in session, I'll say, honoring the question, which means that I don't have an answer yet, but I'm focusing and harnessing my intention on at least knowing that I'm asking the right question. And then as I hold space for the question, the universe will have answers that start to flow in for me. So who was I before all of this anarchy arose? Who was I before this great awakening began? How do I know when I'm really me? What does it look like for me when I am living the highest and fullest expression of my genuine self? And the more that you can just hold space and sit with those types of questions, then the more you're going to get answers. And then you further bloom or kind of step into this kind of highest expression of yourself. And that right there is the essence and the heart of, well, in my opinion, the meaning of life, but how we're able to really enjoy and savor all of what life has to offer for us.
Beautifully said.
Agreed.
Thank you. It's really awesome. And I totally agree that we also want to remember, you know, that the choices that we're making to go back to relax are also going to be important. You know, we don't want to go back and flub it up with too much alcohol or sugar, or, you know, And it's easy to do. Those comfort foods, a lot of times they do feel good in the moment, but is it really going to be good in the long term? And, you know, even the best of us make those choices, and well, so that's also something that we definitely want to look at is, you know, how healthy are those choices going to be that we're making, that we're stepping back into, because we've had plenty of time, even through the chaos, to start, you know, thinking about these things, like what can I do to be a little bit healthier, or what can I do to get out and away from everything. So, excuse me.
And I think also what's important to consider is understanding the things that you can control in your life and the things that you cannot, that you know that you cannot control.
Yes.
Now, and that's something I know I struggled with for a long time. Was I always felt like I had to be Atlas. I always had to have the world on my shoulders. I had to save the world for all these things. And what it actually was doing was it was self-sabotaging myself, because I put so much responsibility on myself, which it was not necessary. We overburden ourselves. That's just a human thing to do. That's just a normal thing to do, to be outgoing, to be helpful. But at the end of the day, you have to find out where your limits are. Where can you have a little mobility, and where it just won't. And once you when you fine tune those and realize where those actual things are, then you can start working with those boundaries and say, where can I add, where can I remove? You know, and then at that point, you can start really chiseling at the marble, if you will, and you can start making that sculpture that you have envisioned in your mind.
What you said right there is at the very bedrock, or the heart of how we navigate through life. And I would like that concept that Spielman just said to be a central theme that we come back to time and time again on the show, because the phrases that I use for this are ones that are used in the field, and I don't really like the words, but the concepts remain the same, and that is change versus acceptance. And
Yes.
so everything in life comes down to this interplay between these two components of change and acceptance. And there's a lot that I can say about that, but that's you just hit the nail on the head. And Stella might photobomb us from time to time.
She's awesome. I love it. She kind of blends in right now.
See?
Hi, Stella.
Hey, you know what? And you know what? That's one of the nice things about Stella there, right? Is that it's going to be things that just bring genuine happiness and
right.
joy. You know, those are the things that are going to rise your energies in astronomical ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know I get a good kick out of reading all the memes that you guys do and watching the videos that people make memes out of, because at the end of the day, you can see that there was love and passion put into these things, and it looks so pure and genuine. Versus how, if you look at how these things are sometimes made artificially, you can definitely tell when there was love put into a lot of these things, and who actually had who would, you know, did it for a job, and who actually did it just because they just genuinely enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very
And
true.
Yeah, and spend time with your pets. Absolutely, spend time with your family. You know, just do what makes you happy. What makes that smile go on your face. You know.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason why the ancients brought animals into the home. There was a very good reason why, and this is one of them. I mean,
our fur babies.
Let's talk about cats for a second. I mean, cats in Egypt were revered for their ability to scare away the evil spirits. I mean, that's the reason why cats are. I mean, I don't know. It's so cool to see how all these different animals that we've come to know and love just become part of our daily lives, and they become our family, just like any other blood relative.
Yep. That's right.
Yeah.
Let me make a real quick note since we're on that subject before I forget. I have exciting news. I was able to finally get in touch with my Egypt guide again, and we have confirmed that Egypt is a go. I decided to postpone from spring just because there's still so much disruption in the air, and it would be probably like March or April, and that's not a good time given what we know what's coming. So we both agreed to postpone until this fall. So it's going to be the tentative dates right now. Let me pull them up. Are going to be like late October to early November, and October 20th through November 4th is tentatively what we're looking at. So if you go to my website, just dralexbloom.com, I have a whole section devoted that I need to update, but devoted to the Egypt with focused more on what it entails and not the specifics yet because I need to update things. But yeah, just that's probably the best place for now to go to get updates. And as I mentioned earlier, I was booted off of Facebook. So I'm so burnt out, I don't even know if I want to go back. But for now, I'm on Telegram. And so my name there is Alexicus, Alexicus, and then my last name, Bloom, with also kind of the Roman Icus, so Bloomicus. And I have a Telegram channel that I started with just my name, and you can reach out to me if you're interested in going to Egypt. But we won't have very many slots that are available still. So if you are interested, reach out. But once again, I'll plug it more as kind of we get closer. But it's exciting just to kind of talk shop with my guide, and he was saying that, again, tell your people that less than 1% of those who travel to Egypt will experience what we get to see. So just super exciting stuff.
Oh, I know. This sounds exciting. I'm kind of excited there's more time because I want to go so bad. So I'm like, what's it going to take to manifest? I'm getting in that energy.
So that for those that want to go, that are interested, but don't feel like they have the funds yet or whatnot, have this be your work for manifesting, you know?
Why not? I mean, God, what an amazing experience
Maybe.
to go to.
Think about it. It might. Hey, this might have been the way the universe works on that.
Right.
You know, the universe works in very mysterious ways. So who knows? Amária, this might have been the way Source has kind of been nudging you a little bit.
I definitely want to go. I feel very connected to Egypt. I know that's been some pretty heavy past lives for me. So why not go back home again for a little bit?
It definitely feels that way for me. Like there's a familiarity when I went. I'm like, whoa, I've been here before. I've traveled to these places. I've been in these side of these walls, you know, and the energy that you feel there is very palpable. And I might have mentioned this before, but like when we were leaving on our last day, our guide said, you know, it's my prayer that when you go back home, you have positive repercussions from this, and that your life is transformed from the gifts that you've learned from mingling with the energies here. And I kind of internally rolled my eyes and thought, yeah, sure, of course he's going to say that sort of stuff. I went home and I was like, whoa, baby, he was so spot on. He knew what he was talking about.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty amazing. Plus, kind of to boot, my birthday's in early November. So I just think, how cool would that be to like actually have the trip happen on my birthday? So.
Oh, that's just so serendipitous too. Oh my God, I love that.
What's nice is that having been there before, like I know the nuances of like what from those who haven't been there before, like, oh, we need to make sure and spend more time here, or we need to see this, or let's have this sort of activity. Like I really want to go back and take everybody on camels because we didn't get time to do that. And I just briefly went on a camel just to ride it. And like I went up, and boy, those things are so cool because it's like an amusement ride. Like you go straight up and you're like 15, 20 feet in the air. You're like, whoa. But to actually take a camel ride and just walk around the pyramids is just like, that's something. It's like swimming with dolphins. It just, you know, you never forget that. It's a bucket list item.
That's cool. I think we're going to have to manifest this. That's awesome.
And I think it'd be nothing cooler than to just have like our tribe be what consists the group.
That would be awesome.
That energy, just the people in this group that you've put together at Dr. Bloom has just been, it's been such a blessing this past year, because it's been a rough year for some of us going through the galactic dark night. And, you know, those of us that have been waking up in programs that it's like, this is what's been causing nightmares all my life. Holy shit. You know, there's a lot of stuff to clear, and wow. It's been such a beautiful group. Just the energy of love and acceptance and service. Wow.
Yeah. As human beings, we need connection anyway. We are wired to connect. The Homo sapien was that's what made our offshoot survive compared to the other species, if you ascribe to that form of belief system. So that's from an anthropological point of view. But for us, especially now from like a spiritual point of view, given the time period that we're in and why we incarnated now, tribe is more essential than ever before. So if you have a soul tribe, cultivate the holy hell out of it, because it is needed. All hands on deck.
Yes, I absolutely agree. This has been family for me. It's been beautiful.
Absolutely. Family. That's the word.
Ohana.
Ohana. Yep. I love that. Now, going back to what we talked about a little bit earlier, I know that there was some stuff. Did you guys still want to talk a little bit about the structure by the White House, GameStop, and Mar-a-Lago?
Sure. We could talk a little bit about that.
We can segue back into the
yeah. All right, get out your box, Spielman.
I can see distracting his knuckles now.
It was in a file drawer. I'd forgotten.
I just wanted to say that we're in what I would think the phase that we're in right now is called the dark winter phase. And one of the things I was thinking about the whole aspect of this was the expression, it's darkest before the dawn. Yes. That is what happening right now. It's darkest before the dawn. And another thing that also came up was the something that Juan O'Sullivan said a few days ago when he was interviewed by Michael Jaco. And that was, and I know I've mentioned this before, but I think it's important to reiterate it just because we need to get this into our heads and really kind of let that churn a little bit, which is we're going through a near-death experience, and it's a hellish one.
Yeah.
Yep.
This experience, we know that there is panic in DC. Panic stands for Patriots are in control. Okay? This is the safe mode version of what we would have dealt with if the 16-year plan were to actually come into fruition. Right. This is only the teaser of it. This is, you're not seeing death squads anywhere. You're not seeing people being ripped out of their houses. You're not seeing FEMA camps right now. And that's because those things have been neutralized. Right. What we're looking at right now is safe viewing an environment. Yes, people are being hurt. I'm not saying these things don't exist. What I'm saying is that they're hurting, but not in a destructive way. They're going to be done in a constructive way. When so everyone now can realize that we can all be on the same mindset, same even playing field, and that we can kind of work our way from there. Wow, look at all the things that have happened. Well, I guess we can work from here.
That's why they picked this plan this way they did, because they wanted to pick the minimal amount of casualty, the minimal amount of death, the minimal amount of, the minimal amount of tragicness, if you will. But I'll tell you one thing now, when life gives you the darkest before dawn, you can always light that match, stick a marshmallow on a stick and roast that B word.
Hell yeah.
Just write it through. Just absolutely write it through.
You know what? I think that's a meme right there, my dear.
I like it, girl. I think you need to do it.
So I think on the topic of buyer's remorse, I think we should talk about what happened with the market, because I think That's probably going to be the most notable thing that has happened within the last few days.
Right.
And that is another instance of a great awakening-ism, if you will. People, for a very, very long time, a lot of us have known that the markets are manipulated. They're fake. They're kabuki theory. They have the illusion of being a free and open market, but they're not. And what happened? Well, we got a few people on Reddit, and I think it was more than just a few people. I think it was actually a pretty concerted effort. Went into these markets, and they started buying stock, and they started interrupting people, making their money. And whoa, look how fast that stopped people. Wow. You know, sure, it takes them more than 10 months to develop a COVID response bill, but when it comes to them and their money and their pocketbooks, well, let's just say that took less than 48 hours.
Yep.
And these people are
All that raw
losing.
motivation.
Let's just say it was the spirit moved them
Yeah.
in their pocketbook, but okay.
Dollar
And,
sign with wings on it.
Well, you know, that's funny because, well, I'm not going to go into a side tangent. I got to stay focused. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to kind of break down what was going on in what happened there.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have several several companies that were out there, and no ones there was a company called Melvin Capital, and there were a few others out there, but Melvin was probably one of the biggest ones that was one of the players. And these are all hedge funds, and the way these hedge funds were making money was with something called short stocks. And what a short stock is a type of security where you basically hedge money, or you put money on the market for a stock to go do bad. Like, for instance, GameStop or AMC or Nokia or Blockbuster or whatever. You're putting money that this stock in this company is going to do bad. And you make money when the company does bad. I mean, I would love that. Hey, I want this car to break down on me. I want to make money for my car to break down. And then you make money off your car breaking down. I would love that. But this is how these people are making money. They were using negative intention on the market to make money. Well, this Reddit group, I think it was called Reddit Bets or Wall Street Bets or something like that. They started buying the stocks. So the way they're buying it is that they put the money, stocks go down, they buy it, they make a profit. Well, when they was starting to go down, the Wall Street Bet side subreddit were buying the stocks from them, and the hedge funds were losing money. And it wasn't just a few $100,000 there. We're talking billions of dollars. Every time the stock went up another $11, they were losing another $1 billion, another $1 billion, to the point where Melvin Capital had to announce bankruptcy because they lost too much assets because of it. And so you have Congress, you have economic bigwigs out there saying, we got to hold these people accountable. And so they started forcefully taking away the stocks that these people had, which last time I checked was illegal. You can't actually do that without the consent of the person who owns the stock.
They're just burying themselves with their own actions. I mean, it's actually kind of cool that we're seeing this play out in real time, because for so long everyone's been saying, look what's going on, and the sleepers I don't see anything. Open your eyes now.
Hedge
Yeah,
fund
it allows
managers
it. Yeah.
do it and play the game, but once the blue collar worker and the college educated yuppie learns about how to do this and can play the game as well, you see a fatal flaw in the stock market system being exposed.
Yeah.
And what I find so intriguing is that the main stock was GameStop. Okay, so think about how that relates to 17's phrases of like, shall we play a game, for example. So you've got that, but then the other two stocks that were potentially where they wanted to do this as well, one was AMC, the movie theater, which I found out, ironically, is owned by China. And so you're watching a movie, okay? And then the third one was Bed Bath & Beyond. So Q has said clean house. So just some interesting tidbit there.
That's funny.
17 also mentioned. Sorry, go ahead, Amária. Finish your thought.
Oh no, go ahead. I was listening to what you're saying. So 17 was saying.
There was another drop when 17 said that what happens if GS calls? And for the longest time, we were thinking, oh, that means George Soros.
Right.
What if GS calls actually means GameStop?
GameStop. Exactly.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. Really good point.
And you know, that goes with what we've been learning about these drops. These drops have double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, septuple meanings. They have a lot of different meanings, and that's exactly how game theory works. It's all about how your opponent moves and anticipating every move they can make, and having another move react to it.
Moves and counter moves.
D5.
Yes.
Which is chess. And D5, this was another one when they talked about D5.
Yeah.
Which, remember, D5, 5 is E, D-E, Delaware. Do the math from there. Who came from Delaware?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's just...
You're my favorite decoder ring, Alex.
I also have seen governmental documents where they'll have it A, B, C, D, E for different sections. And there was something about Hillary Clinton on page D5 of this one document. So I thought that was
really? So
Yep.
do you want to talk? How much do you know about that? Oh, go ahead.
Again?
What were you saying, Alex? Spielman?
No, I was agreeing. That's all.
Oh, okay. No, I'm interested. I didn't hear anything about Hillary Clinton document. How much do you know about that document?
Oh man, that was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I don't remember all the details.
Oh, okay.
But just thought it was interesting. They had mentioned her in that document.
I think that was the one where they were talking about her involvement in the State Department.
Oh, okay.
That sounds familiar.
Because about a year ago, or a little bit less than a year ago, we were learning about the Clinton State Department and her involvement in Benghazi.
Right.
It also branches off into conclusion with Hunter Biden's laptop from hell as well, or laptops,
And now he's been tapped to run the DEA. That is poetic irony if I've ever heard one.
Have we confirmed that? Because I saw that in a supposed tweet, but I thought, my God, this has got to be too good to be true.
Well, I thought it was too good to be good to be true to see Janet Yellen as the Treasury Secretary, too. It's like the who's who of things these days.
Yeah, it is.
It's like an old whodunit. It's like a game of whodunit.
I keep wanting to see Scooby-Doo and the gang coming and pulling off the face masks.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I don't know. Are we also going to need to include the Ghostbusters for all the people that voted that were dead?
Right. That could be another really good meme mashup, girl.
One where it showed the tab at the back of the neck for Biden and basically saying this is a mask.
I do remember seeing that picture.
Did you guys hear who people have been theorizing who that might be?
No, who?
People have been theorizing that might be Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah, really?
Because of the way he smiles. Yeah. he has a very similar smile. He has a very broad, very teeth-revealing smile.
It's always possible.
And,
It's really hard to tell who's dead and who's actually alive, even if you get the list of who's
Well,
around and who's not.
And another thing I
Well,
had seen on a meme, or I think it might have been something that you shared, Sue, was that the clones have been basically reprogrammed to do what the white hats want. If that's true, I mean, that's awesome. If not, it's just kind of interesting to sift through, the rumors just to see, I wonder what's going to play out.
Well, because everything right now, from what I know, what I understand, don't quote me, but from what I know is under Castle Rock. All of it, from the inauguration stuff before that, a little bit of the stuff before that, and the inauguration, and the White House, the Oval Office room, and you can tell by the lightings on the windows, that was the studio lights. A lot
And
of
the
there's
parking
just
lot.
so much, and there's so much fake that's going on, and and we know that a lot of people who are asleep are working really, really hard to keep their head buried in the sand, like when they were showing the executive orders that Biden was signing. People were saying, well, the papers were pretty much blank. Well, some of the sleepers that I've been running into have been saying, oh, well, that's just how the light's casting off on it and things like that, and so, I mean, they're doing all kinds of things. They were showing the Bible at the inauguration. We've seen it, both photos and pictures of how it's either, the cross is upside down or the cross right side up. The ones who say it's upside down, the sleepers have been writing all kinds of things with saying that, well, if the Bible was sitting on a bookshelf, it could fall over the bookshelf upside down. I said, yes, but you're at an inauguration, something that's very important. Wouldn't you want everything to look spotless? And true, you would want to make little mistakes like that.
And what about Harris's handbag on top of the Bible? That means she wasn't even touching the Bible.
Apparently the meme runs around that, apparently a meme running around that they went to the hospital for burns touching the Bible, right? So,
right there.
Yeah. So, outfit changes, placement. We noticed that even at the inauguration, the attitude that the people are having was, I mean, I would think that you should act like you won the lottery.
Yeah.
And they work so hard to get the position that they're in. Why are you not celebrating? They all sounded very,
they're very
scared,
rushed and
unhappy.
nervous. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like it's like that point in when you have like a 5-year-old and they got their caught with their hand in the cookie jar and they're like, okay, sit at the kitchen table, eat your cookie. Well, I don't want to have the cookie anymore. No, you touch the cookie, you're going to sit at the table and have your cookie.
Right.
And then just eat it in a very disappointing, sad way. That's kind of what it looks like.
I love that.
I guess we have to commit now.
The Bernie memes are lit.
Oh my God. Those are funny. There's so much just they're awesome.
They're everywhere. I'm waiting them to be on the back of cereal boxes now.
So
I was hoping they would put them right on the cover of Wheaties. That's what I'm waiting for right now.
Oh my goodness.
I think another thing that needs to be mentioned that's happening in DC is before that, Castle Rock. Before I jump into that, Castle Rock and the steps, the windows that are behind the desk, they can be green screened. They can be green screened. So the background, can be completely altered to whatever you want in those sets.
Makes sense.
And movie magic. We're looking at, if in a movie, we're going to have movie magic. We're going to have post-production. We're going to have deep fakes. We're going to have skin tight, old Scooby-Doo masks. It's going to be a movie production like you've never seen it before because they're literally playing the role for their lives.
It's amazing.
It's like it sounds terrible because that sounds. It sounds like
for obvious mistakes. They're gonna make those obvious mistakes because they want us to see that it's fake.
Right.
It's like a very interesting Saw movie because we're all playing the game, and there's only one way to play that game. is to do those roles. And us who have been, having our popcorn ready, we have our pause buttons on our controllers, and we're like, wait a minute, what happened? Oh wait, was that a wire? Oh wait, was that a mask? Oh wait, did you just change the color of your shoe? Wait, how in the world is it sunny in the inauguration when it was cloudy that day? Just different anomalous things.
Yeah.
And that I think is, it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning, that it's important for us to kind of emotionally step away and not get caught up in the nuances or the smoke and mirrors that we're seeing in media. That what we're seeing here is just a last extension of the plan being rolled out to really hard reset the sleepers. And the rest of us don't need to get caught up in this fear porn and to go within. Now's the time for you to really, and it has been really since COVID, for us to kind of pause and reflect and slow down the racing from the matrix, but to really go within and focus on grounding and staying in high vibe and connecting. If I had to give one word, I'd say connect. Connecting to ourself, connecting to source, connecting to our loved ones and our tribe, and nourishing ourselves. And that's, I think, the most important thing.
Very beautifully said. Thank you so much.
I agree. Okay, so going back to what I was initially going to say, which was we've been seeing for the last month or so blackouts all over the world. We had one in Pakistan, we had one in Vatican City, one in Berlin, one in Paris. Well, it seems like we've been dealing with blackouts in DC. The lights have not been on in the Washington Monument and the White House and other relevant structures in that area for 9 days so far. So is this the 10 days of darkness that has been described? Possibly. Is it, someone forgotten to pay the electric bill because, they want to use solar panels? Who knows? There's a lot of different reasons for that. It's very interesting that now we have other things occurring on the White House lawn. We have that structure there that looks like a parking garage. I've seen, I personally believe it may be a gallows of some type, this double-decker gallows, because we have all those indictments and we've always been talking about arrests. Where would be the place where all of these people would have their sentences follow through on? I'm not going to say the other word, the EX word, because I'm not going to bring in those negative energies for that. But you know exactly what I mean. We're going to finish. So we're just going to.
You made that interesting picture the other day off of your iPhone when you went to Google Maps and looked at the Oval Office, and it said permanently closed, which I thought was fascinating. So I might even have to get a hold of that picture and post it, because I thought that was interesting. But it goes back full circle. Remember when we were talking the other night and we were looking at the Oval Office on Google Maps and you had pulled it up on your iPhone.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the if you go to the Oval Office, if you go to the Oval Office on like Google Maps or Apple Maps, the Oval Office, it's that normally it would have like a time of visitation or hours of operations, but when you go to it, it says permanently closed.
So I think it was on your Apple Maps because our Google Maps wasn't pulling it up, but I think that's one of those sites that's being creepy.
Well, I mean, we've also Apple and Siri have been very good at giving us disclosures every so often, actually, because that would be the first time we've had that. Because we've also had one where if you ask Siri who the president of the United States is, it wouldn't say Donald Trump, and this was before he left office. This was, I think, in December. It actually said Kamala Harris.
Interesting.
So little disclosures here and there.
A lot of little
And
treats.
also, also the White House is apparently unlisted on Zillow, from what I saw.
Oh, really?
It's not officially listed because you can't buy or sell it, but it's on Zillow. You can look it up, and it will give you what they believe is the estimated value of this.
That's like 417 million or something.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so crazy.
So we're seeing. So there's a lot of.
I think if we can look at
that
all
are
of
kind of
these
like
interesting
head
things
turners.
with a grain of salt too, just going back to, staying calm and staying centered. And if you are looking at those things, don't be like, oh my God, what's going on? Or oh, did you see or did you hear? It's just take it as, okay, that's an interesting point of view. It could be plausible. It could be not. Okay, back to my center.
That's it.
A lot of them, the whole thing is just a very large puzzle, and it might be a puzzle piece, it might just be a light that needs to be shined on the puzzle pieces that already have been put together. So you never know.
Right.
Well,
I really like how this came together.
The way I look at it.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, the way I look at this, if you want to look at this from a kind of like a research point of view, treat it like a game of Where's Waldo.
That's a good way to look at it.
Where are the anachronisms? Where are the things that just don't fit? And most of the time, you're not going to panic. Most of the time, you're going to start chuckling because you're like, that's funny. That should have belonged there.
That's a really good way of looking at it. I really like how this has come together full circle. Great reminders on staying grounded, some awesome updates on things that are pretty obvious, things that are, plausible, really awesome information. I want to do a quick shout out to the radio stations, of course, C4OC Radio Network, Rev Radio Las Vegas. We've got Soma Fusion and GERN, of course, the Global Enlightenment Radio Network. Thank you so much for all of the listeners out there. Anyone that has any questions, comments, please feel free to post below. And we love hearing from you guys. This has been Amária Sweet with HeartMind Expressions. Thank you so much, Dr. Bloom, for Alex Spielman, as well as Soo McClure. I love you guys so much. And this has been another awesome episode. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye.